Hello, strangers and possible friends. This is Richard Millett, and I'm streaming from an undisclosed location. And if you like it, wonderful. If you don't, there's a lot on the internet right now. Go enjoy something else. This is called Diamond Mine. Water rushing so fast it looks like knotted wood. Its sound a ceaseless perpetual crash in static blue and black. Droplets burst over the plank sides and dot the dirt, or land on kicked-out bricks, and from the ravine's opposite angle the water seems to glide clockwise, rolling ever nearer towards the gears, and into the factory where 7 years previous the core of the industry sunk unexpectedly early, and like a defense attorney the treasurer ruled the materials used were archaic and their methods unrealistic, and as demand seized up the foreman and night shift technicians acidly joked they were laboring within the Great Repression. For ages it seemed like the beams from the afternoon sun wouldn't come, but we later learned the view was obscured by a flood started from the diamond mine. We know. It's either tacitly implied or we're told outright that you can't be seen like that. You need lights. When money is exchanged and you're finally responsible and realistic, you can't be seen like that. You need lights. Know the value of being articulate and reconsider your obscure subject. You need to stay in the lines. You need to revise. Realize the need to eliminate images that would be unwise to present or ideas you'd be unable to defend. Why persist if people cannot implicitly understand? You can't be seen like that. You need lights. For years it seemed like the beams from the afternoon sun wouldn't come, but we later learned the view was obscured from a flood that started in the diamond mine. Back in the head office, on the desk next to the coffee, scissors, and gold pen set, was a black leather envelope in the morning's newspaper whose sub-headline read, Forgetfulness, and detailed a local photographer who makes elaborate, enormous, near-twin gelatin prints of events, one real, one staged, and described the effect as painting over paintings. When asked by the reporter, who will get this, the photographer remarked, anyone who misses being pure, or ever imagined placing one point in time over another, anyone who pictures the shape of ideas and not the shape of their mind, anyone who sees a crowd and tries to find the people in disguise. Later, the paper lay open to the crossword puzzle, and among answers written in indeterminate script were asides like, does purpose follow appearance? Where is this from? Reasons better than because, and finally, determining what to become. Hope you liked that. Never done this before, obviously. You can't tell with the non-production values, but that's okay because what we're doing is, anti-corporate and free and all of the other excuses that you use if you don't care about that shit. I'm pulling up the next piece. I'm going to do this for as long as I like, so, if you don't like it, go elsewhere. Seriously. This is from 2004. This is called Water. Water, 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 water. It would be good if motion could evaporate and then solidify into a form we view in flux, or be on course to be boundless and sing of the sea, aiming a voice at the sky, never again I'd read a tattered sign. My body no longer closed in the folds of dirt and clay, but wind-blown and awake, seeing droplets in rivers become oceans and lakes. The salt darting through the air ends my hunger. It cleans the shore and surprises its permanent structure as the molecules become lighter and smaller. Dance on the water, woman and man. Thou shalt have a boat. Thou shalt save a fish. Thou shalt be steering when the boat comes in. Thou shalt have a vision up in the crow's nest. Dance in the water, woman and man. Dance in the water, dance for the birds, dance for the wind, Dance for everyone on land. Thou shalt see the king before the revolt. Thou shalt find a partner, one to love and to hold. Man will be woman and woman will be man. Dance in the water, to the perch and to the sand. I once lived on the Salisbury Plain. We'd come from Ireland and only ate grain. We changed their battle hymns and substituted our names. We sang boldly, "We shall rule the waves. Never, never, never shall we be slaves." We sailed the Pacific, fighting equinoctial gales. We felt liberated by the sight of sharks, storms, and whales. We gathered strength and survived the death of Captain McCahey, for we would have been despised by his ghost if we stopped facing the sea. Now we're outward, bound toward the Gulf, to the Indies and back around. We'll gather gifts wherever we dock, and when we're headed homeward, we'll bring silver galore, and a Persian cat and a camel fur, and you won't wear those cast-offs no more. Now, haul away the bowline, the ship is rolling. It's a tough life we merchants undergo, and we don't give a damn how hard the winds blow. The sailors gave us a bad name. They let us fall through the weary waves. They throw a hatchet in the floor of their boat, and if it doesn't sink, you'll hear them gloat. But if we roar out of order, never again would we see the sea. No more, no more, no more. We sail with a northerly gale to our island home in the county of Cork. Our mainmast sprung, our pitching done, fire in our stomach, salt water in our lungs. Now haul away the bowline, the ship is rolling. Ocean, 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 ocean. Up in Land o' Groats is where we dealt with Sergeant Croon and his Tipperary officers of the photogenic order. They were a fine bunch of lads, though they were given to delusional fits of interpolation. Our encounter centered on the family crest, which featured 2 yellow lightning bolts and 4 gallstones removed from the Queen. As a reminder that you must suffer to wield authority, 2 officers objected to the use of 2 yellow lightning bolts when it had been tradition to either feature 4 or 9. Fortunately, the woman who had designed the crest, the redoubtable Mrs. Klingelhofer, stepped forward and explained that the 2 lightning bolts represented 2 daffodils she had picked the morning she designed the crest, and demanded an apology, considering she had to be removed from her pregnancy training class to explain her motivations. Alas, the Council of Gujarat revoked Sergeant Croon's license to form an agenda, and he and his officers relocated to Bermuda, where it was felt they could do something more sensible with their efforts. Endless ocean, endless ocean. I moved where I could see you, away from places I couldn't see through. I threw away my socks and shoes, to be waiting at your shore, endless ocean. My blood has all departed. I stopped the things I'd started. My organs are unguarded. I see your waves get parted by the tide in its rippling mood swings. Endless ocean. You sing so perfectly. I am in love inside the cotton of your warmth. Endless ocean. I'm calm and now I'm here. Your reflection is so clear. The sky is just a mirror, an imitation of you. Endless ocean. I don't need to talk. I have found what I have sought, and into you I will walk. Endless ocean. Are there any responses? No. That's cool. I like it better that way. This is called Flowers at the Foot of the Cave. Swinging light bulb above a cracked basement window, a painting depicting the creation of creation in a makeshift bed. I made up a new name for you that I'll only keep in my head. My head. Look at the jewel resting in the bottom of the wooden cup, or the stack of handwritten sheets explaining the steps of the ritual in rich, deep red, and the names of everyone. There exist in my head. My head. Charcoal renderings of saints ripped from a magazine and pinned to the door. Dented bits of metal shaped to make a mosaic and pushed into the floor. 1/4-inch thick spray-painted silver ribbons looped like ringlets in the air, and the floating stray white veins from a feather landing on your hair. Here I sit half childish, freshly washed, clothes strewn over the chair. A tray with orange peels, melon rinds, and empty glasses rests balanced on the table's edge, while I'm reading a map leading to a room more colorful than the womb, where I can overhear things other than gurgling and organs rushing. But still, this will always be in its infancy, because love is where Genesis greets infinity, and for proof you can look in my eyes, even though I won't confirm or deny how much of this is true, but I trust that will get worked out by you. How y'all doing out there? Is anybody watching? That's okay. I'm an only child. I've been talking to myself my whole life. This is called Milky Skies. For 3 weeks, I've seen the sky as one color stretched over a muted spectrum, and I've heard tiny handbells clang at irregular intervals. Without forethought, I was in a state of unstable concentration with my sense of decency tested. I stared at celeste-covered veins and remembered how they were made. I was reminded of the warm, thankful to be placed I was reminded of the worm thankful to be placed back in the dirt after suffering a 2-inch gash on its side from careless shoveling. The youngest lady stops weeping and waiting and steps into invisibility, her velvet-lined pockets filled with small wreaths of braided blue stems. While embarrassed at how much she once admired her mother's brooches, she now fully blushes at her wish to own an ocean full of stone. Her friends repeatedly requested questions, only furthers her hesitation, so she leaves a small note of explanation. Quote, "Life is grossly inelegant in its demands that one must impatiently forget chores performed with red impressions left intact, from knots affixed to ankles and wrists, as if the sores never existed. Shock of copper curls, cerulean halos in his eyes, considers his environment, and with his shoulders pinned back adjusts his balance and stands straight up in his raft. The one idea that has possessed him so vanishes out from his mind, pierces the sea, then its velocity escapes gravity and reaches away past the sky. But he fears no lack of purpose, or whether this time has been meaningless. He has total devotion to the base truth of his vocation. His ankles give way, and he falls back gently, lands on his hands while some water splashes in. He considers those who would deride his actions and thinks, 'I don't require any clothes. I'd rather remain naked for everyone.' I felt watched when I first voluntarily gave away confidential information, then tried to explain the layout of San Antonio to a stranger who never knew I'd never been there before. And now, as minutes become limitless, any vows I made always sustained me. I felt watched when my thinking was clean and capable of strict reasoning, and I rode along freshly painted runways, left notes on license plates, brambles, and high chairs. And now, as lassitude disintegrates, any vows I made remain unchanged. I felt watched when my legs were bathed in a heat as persistent and unruly as a bat taunting a seal, repeatedly landing on its shoulder and squealing, and now as fury impassively fades, any vows I made I could never break. I felt watched when I attended 10 drawing classes and attempted to finish a full circle freehand without interference between thought and motion. And now that my hands are patient, any vows I made are everything. Here she flies, and now we know if the promises made more than 10 years ago have been kept. Here she flies, with 2 pens, rosary, brass paperweight, earrings, locket, and measurements written on a business card. Here she flies, gums and receded hair, a miniature brace for a baby, wrapped in grayed, hardened plastic. Here she flies, with an oxygen tank bubbling ceaselessly, a UHF channel on the television showing an old western silently. Here she flies while I stand with tentative confirmation, a glass of thickened water, and 3 empty white boxes. Here she flies, with skin like marble, over winding staircases, and rooms with seafoam-colored walls, and intimidating machinery. How y'all doing out there? It's not bad. Not bad. It's loud up there. I could have had this all worked out beforehand, but, you know. I know what I'm doing. May not look like it. All right. This is called Look at This Shirt. Maybe it's in poor taste to read this now, but, you know, I never said I was tasteful. You're going to die in a hospital. Your grave's going to look like Mozart. You're going to die playing bingo. You're going to die waiting for customer service. You're going to die eating snow. You're going to die around the fireplace. You're going to die wishing you weren't alone. You're going to die in the express lane. Walker. You're going to die on demand. You're going to die impaled on a beach. You're going to die working with children. You're going to die in the first wave. You're going to die in a wheat field. You're going to die in a bucket. You're going to die on the second date. You're going to die doing someone's taxes. You're going to die in a pet shop. You're going to die in between traffic and weather. You're going to die meeting Fred Thompson. You're going to die hearing Sierra. You're going to die eating a Hot Pocket. You're going to die buying towels. You're going to die visiting a ranch. You're going to die mid-sentence. You're going to die ordering insulin. You're going to die in a wheelchair. You're going to die during your story. You're going to die golfing. You're going to die smiling, selling yellow garlic at $5 a cloves, pushing in a distended liver. You stop me. You show me your knife. You want me to say it's nice. Your knife you bought at Walmart. You show me your knife. I don't think you have any idea what a knife is for. Your family members can read. Your family members used to be refugees. Your family members are from the other side of the earth. We're coming up from under the other side of the earth. Heat from the crowd rising in a mist. Water in the air. Water in the ground, water under the ground. You can't attack, you can't fight back, you're dog tagged. You know my address, you know my receipts, you're saving my fingernails. You haven't learned anything, you've gotten nothing. We won't know you, we won't pay respect, we won't talk forever, we won't lend a hand. You've gotten nothing, and you shut 'em up. You're the show on TV where they air fake tans and tit jobs, all the bloody slices and cuts, folded back skin, fatty tissues and pus, but they got buzzed out pixelated nipples. You like being smug, you like being drunk, you've been bottled. You like when you crash, you like a heart attack, you've been invaded, you want to be violated, you like to keep it light, and you want me to say it's nice. You're gonna die in the first wave. I know the secret. I found the secret. I know the secret. I found the secret. The world was made for you. All the shit shows and stupid clothes were made for you. I know the secret. I found the secret, and you aren't special. Your problems mean nothing. When you die, there'll be a funeral only 'cause your family thinks they have to. We're not gonna help you. Everyone won't. Nothing can help you. You set the fields on fire. We're not gonna help you. You sold the grain. I know the secret. I found the secret. I've got the fucking secret, and you aren't special. I found the secret, and I'm not special. I've got the secret. You aren't special. I'm not special. I'm water. I found the secret. I'm water. I'm paper, and so are you. A molecule, a comma, an atom. I've got the secret. I'm skin. I've got the secret. You are water. You're a scissor. You're a bicuspid. I'm a phone. You're an engine. I'm a tape recorder. I've got the secret. You're a floodlight. You're a tape recorder. I'm a mole. You're a spoon. I'm a spoon. You're a mole. I found the secret. You're lightning. I'm water. I'm lightning. You're a mouse hole. You're a mustache. You're a postcard. I'm a backyard. You're a hubcap. I'm a paper shredder. I'm an antenna. I found the secret. I found the secret. You're the secret. I'm a stoplight. You're a flashlight. I'm an axe. You're an appendix. I found the secret. I am an ovum. You are an ox. I have the secret. You are gluten, and I am water. You are gluten. I am water. I have the secret. I am the medium. I am the middle. You are the fence. You are the tower. You are the insect. You are the oak tree. I found the secret. I'm drywall. You are neurosis. You are a rake. You are the basis. I found the secret. I have the secret. I'm a mosquito. I'm a buffalo. You are water. I have the secret. I found the secret. You are a moose. I've got the secret. You are a bison. I am the chair. I am a bus. You are a bus. You are the bureau. I am a cactus. You are the data. I've got a secret. I am a net. I am a field. You are wheat. You are a whale. I am the water. I am wheat. I am grain. You are grain. You are a chain. You are a tape. I am a mirror. You are the mirror. You are a field. I found the secret. I am the echo. You are the toad. You are the foot. You are a potato. I am the goose. I am the fish. You are the fish. You are the scarf. I am the foot. I am the fireman. You are the lens. I am the lens. You are the hoof. You are the knife. You are the fish. You are the tornado. You are the secret. You are the loaves. You are the calves. I am the radius. You are the radium. You are the triangle. You are the secret. You aren't special. I'm not special. I am the leaf. You are the cloud. I am the box. I am the chaff. You are the tree. You are the window. You are the volunteer. You are the shelf. I am the syllable. I've got the secret. You are the watch. You are the kite. I am the bicycle. I am the wife. You are the shelf. I am the switch. You are the switch. You are the leaf. Fuck! I am the leaf. You are the tableau. I am the tornado. You are the tornado. I've got the secret. I am the thief. You are the thief. You are the water. I've got the secret. You are the percentage. I am a tomato. You are the wolf. I've got a secret. I am a comet. You are a comet. I am the aardvark. I am the interior. I've got the secret. You are the satellite. I am the speaker. I am the water. I am the arrow. You are the grain. You are the mongoose. I am the pheasant. I am the present. I have the secret. You are the fish. You are the horse. I am the knot. You are the puddle. I found the secret. You are the suitcase. I am the windmill. I am the seed. You are the lion. I am the lion. You are the plastic. You are the thread. You are the water. I am the canyon. You are the canyon. You are the oak tree. I am the iron. I've got the secret. This is called Milky Skies. Did you like that last one? Crushed flowers float downstream in the rainwater, and handmade smokestacks drip steam on half-awake blades of grass. New nuns count the gray hairs of their predecessors as they scan old photographs. Will they question who's alive in heaven? Are their words papering a mountain? They will have a moment where they behold the beauty of an empty screen or unplowed snow-covered street. Lost in a world between are the souls who only dream when looking up. Thick, shimmering splotches of gray grease liquefy and start to drip down, rust-colored walls of skins watched by a babe with a flashbulb embedded in their wrist, who sits on gouged black and gold tiles in the center of a disused ballroom dance floor among carelessly flung piles of metal-pronged monitors, cords, discs, spilled coffee grounds, broken vodka bottles, and asymmetrical platinum wigs. Every year there's a whisper the inventory will get a clean transfer. William Dubois knew the recovered money was wrapped in a mosquito net and secured in the back of a carriage. The horse stopped in front of an Air Force base, which got it inadvertently captured on videotape, with the footage dissected by theorists for decades. Desmond Hampton learned Tony Chamberlain had double-crossed him as he drank milk and clapped erasers together. His classroom, his signature, had been forged and hidden throughout the system. The younger best brother thinks, if only I were a CEO buying companies whose names I don't know, and could leverage my credibility to simultaneously flaunt my status and champion myself as an obscurity. The older best brother thinks, if only I were an oligarch and had a tapestry of machinery to do what I want, live in seclusion, invest in rare art, and pay for a hooker who looks like my daughter. Lost in a world between are the souls who only dream when looking up. The beams of starshine light land everywhere and leave valley-wide fingerprints for 7 years. Minute glass tubes can shiver without bursting squid ink, or glistening diamonds laid out on linens. Spirals scrawled on maps with the location leading inside a puzzle box, while fungus slides up to a microscope and mixes with vinegar and bleach. Circles of sapphires line the linoleum tile with a surface so improbably clear that it mimics a screen. Lost in a world between are the only souls who dream when looking up. How y'all doing out there? Having fun? Is any of this making sense? I think it's time for Slow Boat to China, don't you? I do. The razor skin fell on the seat. The roof had been gouged out by a key. The exits were guarded. A few numbers were written down, typed out in a foreign language, all the product of inflation. The casino's slot machines paid out with surf music in a 20-minute ring. The plumber knocked on the last room of the far wing and was tipped with uneaten meat. I keep trying to leave, but I only get more inside. I made it out of the garage, only to be stuck behind a foreigner with $1,000 hubcaps on a $50 car. A girl climbed up the mic, and before she got known, asked them how they could stand the climate. She was from California, never was snowed on, didn't get stopped by trains 25 miles to 5 miles, then down to 3, ranging from dour to catatonic to irate. Can't tell a building from a train. Everyone drives through, though, except for me. I stopped the frame. I took the wrong exit driving into the marching band display and wrote my senator, complaining to his face. He wrote back saying, "Yes, son, it's about time we did things your way." Everybody's acting like an altar boy, looking for a lampshade to make straight. Some Sunday spending money, a free robe, a thimble out of the river because they made their case. Trees grow faster in the city, according to the study. The nutrients depleted my body. No electricity is going to open that door. Ice is slow and not enough to keep my attention. My attention. Everyone acting like an altar boy, dragging their disagreements in the street, stopped, slow, and coy, using their vestments for sheets. A few quick turns and pleas for a reward, but the holding cell is empty, and I don't choose to open it today. I paid to replace the battery and canceled my appointments. The dentist charged a late fee. The neighbor watched his lawn instead of TV. And here's the moral of the story. I put my dinner in a glass and filled it with water, drank half and left the rest. I threw in some safety pins to see how far they'd rust, and after 6 months, there were still no results. And why not? Green handprints. This is called Green Handprints. This is green handprints. I got a little piece of paper I have to remember, so don't let me forget it. I want to live in a house where someone else lives, and I can save up and buy it, and there will be a gate, and I can't wait to have a gate. I cut the red leaves of the poppies precisely into the shape of a collage on the pages, were wrapped tightly with navy blue and pink lettering. It was embraced like a spelling test in the morning after the vibrator incident, and the mother-in-law was speechless. The mother-in-law taught herself how to yell in Chinese, and when she was a girl, she kept a knife in her bouffant, trying to be hot, trying to be a Shangri-La. Green prints on the wall. In a scene of a film without verbs, she got tired of using ink to make words and sick of the golden light and bored with saying hand prayers if she did not have to. I pasted the latest magazines on my office wall to display the writing I'd sold to an ad agency. It's the most mature money that I've ever made. If the lines were, if you're wasted in life, you're invited to see me make a mistake. But the section the mother-in-law's daughter highlighted was a counteroffer saying, make a phalanx and erect the name, choose the time you can float over it, and rent the chariot to half-spent tourists. I declined and made my own t-shirt and lived in a trunk, which brandished the placard, bring back Brigadi Rossi, and after that an asterisk and a footnote detailing the remnants of the IRA. I was moved by the officers. I licked my lips and walked into Borders, which no longer exists, clutching some stolen hair under my arm. I slept on every floor in the store. And now it's time for a true story. When I was in England in 1992, my mom and I were at a museum, and they started clearing all the people out. And we asked a Bobby what all the commotion was about, and he was just like super quiet, very British and polite. And he said, "We found a package," and we both just stared. A fucking package? Fuck you! And he was like, and it wasn't even a bomb. It was like cupcakes in a black bag. And the night before we got there, the IRA had blown up a bus full of soccer players or some fucking shit. And then they tried to blow up some bank. I couldn't believe the nerve of that cop calling it a fucking package. It's like referring to the plane hitting the building as a delivery. The whole scene was like a ripoff of my favorite movie, the Academy Award-winning epic from 1983, Give Me Gang Warfare, Give Me Death, starring Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep, where they reenact the Revolutionary War. Instead of war, though, the Founding Fathers collect and trade stamps with the British, and due to budget restrictions, they use stamps with Washington and Franklin already on them. So in essence, the characters were already trading for themselves. And it was at this point that the American Sisters of Liberty and Suffrage staged a protest and declared the entire charade grossly inaccurate. And Congress agreed that the only legal showings could be at Shriner meetings. But no one who saw it in the theater left without having at least one moment of historical reflection. And if you have that kind of impact, in my opinion, you can die with at least a head full of credibility. And here's the end of the foil. Morals were important in 2003. Green handprints on the wall. My teacher wanted to visit my house before she moved. And I said, Miss McGuire, you can't do that, because everyone knows the teachers never leave school. How y'all doing out there, huh? How's the quarantine going for you? Good stuff? What do you do with your lives? What do you do for fun? Does anyone have fun anymore? Let's see if we can be really slick and make this happen. It'd be cool, huh? Now that's slick. Now, I've been very polite during all of this, but now we're old friends, right? So we can be honest with each other. This is called Shedding Skins. Ladies and On the ringworm, dancing with the spectral beauty that isolates fleeting flags and flowers from their glorious panderings, only to find out they need no bounds to pillage the free-flow love mine boiling on the calluses of their corneas. But you, yes, you know him actually on the second time around, forever never considered why you laugh or what you grunt behind, and nothing is, alas, everything has been unrecovered by the sallow aristocracy implosion in order when the little girls encased in gender sunshine pull down the dawn and shriek merrily of the conquest of fantasy facts, that in which proven by the powers that appear, in, by, how, where, because the lightning rays that is the steel girder stapled to the collective loin nicked off its kerosene shell until the rural timeshare spat mucus from the other depths of their utter backwoods soul scenery and trounced upon radiators, slashing sharply in the wind in neatly layered sharkskin sweater investments, droning to the click madness that haunts the delights of the Cupids and raises their swords to obscene fool Nancy's that now, branching to the stratosphere, came nearer and nearer to the choice flight of destination gesticulatingly appointed by the elder Olympus, that no man hath done tread upon, neither conquering nor salivating, to the twisted pipeline perpetuating ghostly consequence, leading in for the crescendo that yearns to flee away. Stop, man. Shut up. Shut up. Yeah, that's all right. Take it down. We have to flee away. Perhaps to the gutter. Perhaps to the perforation. Yes. To the hostage's cage and remove 36 inches by the only thoughts you can't repress, manifesting just so that by life and horror the first steps came forth, united to loyalty neither comprehend, instead shaping the wing taught flagrantly as well known to regard its own high priest as the height and unique daft eccentricity. Ah, man! She who curses doth not will the plentitude into sleeping, but only scraping stones from its fingerprints, tangled lewdly and in connection and gratification with a floundering spider's web. Why not? Let's keep it going. You might know this one. You might not. I have a syntax error, frolicking banshee beast that won't leave me alone when I'm sleeping, when I'm eating, when I'm oblivioned, like a cloud conforming to the heat. I have a syntax error that gnaws my blood cells and steals my fire, swing distilling and apoplexic shaking, flat-earthed and triangle-hipped, withdrawn, postponed, and resequenced. I have a syntax error stolen from my programs, the lethargic constraints laughing at my fits, calculating slips of immortality, wrapping iron-lunged wings beyond the point of computation, boiling plasmatic revelation. I have a syntax error that cackles like a spitfly at every ounce of acne that belongs to my frame, cajoling the frenzy, consoling the dichotomy, cluttering the dirge into cellophane equivalency and carefully crafted objectivity. I have a syntax error that justifies everything I want, that tells me what to do, that tells me there's sincerity to prove, that opens up my stomach when I'm dreaming and fantasizes about infecting my acrylic soul. I have a syntax error, galloping malapropism, grafting its image inside me, laughing insidiously all around me, speaking in tongues until I don't know what to say. I have a syntax error, spine chart perpendicular presence of constricted paranoia that captivates my logic and obstructs my magnetically pollinated points of progression. I have a syntax error that doesn't breathe, that doesn't bleed, but gravitates in parallel lines from heart to head, producing a gelatinous strain of indecisiveness, forgetting the trains of time and the tracks of my mind. I have a syntax error that doesn't want to leave, that nightmares my DNA, that I'm slowly peeling away before I fall prey to its fangs, and I'm nothing but a machine with a syntax error. Probably very exciting watching me scroll, huh? I have not read a single goddamn thing from my latest book, which is absurd. I need to expectorate. Excuse me. You know, when this is all over, I'm going to go have dinner with my wife. Somebody right now is like, somebody married you? They did. I've convinced 2 people to marry me, believe it or not. 2 more than most. This is called Sympathy for the Cowboy. It's from a really beautiful book I made 8 years ago called This Is What Freedom Looks Like. Sympathy for the cowboy, all alone on the range. After the war ended, he was forced to change his name. Sympathy for the cowboy, holding his dying brother, who begged with his last breath, "Tell mother I died with honor." Sympathy for the meth lab, and all who fight in harm's way, who hope to abolish minimum wage and charge only $15 a day. Sympathy for modern times, truly, now more than ever. And those who argue they're right. Sympathy for the victim, who has all the laws on their side. Sympathy for the student, who's only lived in theory, in a hammer and sickle t-shirt, walking away from the barricade. Sympathy for the lawsuit and all who fought for reform. Sympathy for the bumper sticker telling you to be reborn. Sympathy for the stallion, running free and too wild to ride. Sympathy for the guy who tried. His wife cried, him and his foolish pride. Sympathy for the strawberry and the trial separations, press releases pleading for privacy and doing it for the kids. Sympathy for the nihilist, sucking on his cigarette, cutting you off in traffic. No constraints of guilt or regret. Sympathy for the stalker on his phone outside, looking at pictures of you in high school, saving each one, even if it takes all night. Sympathy for the cowboy whose son moved off the ranch, said he might be coming back soon if there's no change of plans. Well, he might now, indeed, huh? Hope springs eternal. This is good. This is from the latest book. How are all of you doing out there? Having fun? Good times, huh? We'll see if Van ever has a problem with me doing this ever again. Sweltering sun in the forecast, but it's raining right now. Retired teens are nostalgic for holograms as their granddads watch rocks roll on the ground and wonder when they can be farmers in glass pods on Mars. While Amanda eats factory fresh candies and laughs jaggedly at vulgar stories. The boy who awoke in the toy aisle one evening had moved more elegantly than his mother had ever seen as he picked items off a worn, well-folded list before deciding he'd rather have a pet eel instead. While Amanda watches her neighbors bickering and daydreams deleted scenes from their past. The delivery man is ready for the weekend as he ignores reports on the European heat wave. Remember that? Instead marveling about the new house on his route and how much it must cost each month to keep the swans fed and the water in the lagoon fresh. While Amanda feels no urgency to call back her agency and laughs at people voluntarily photographing their chores. I was gonna do one for here. This is from Outsider Envy, which is I did 8 books in 2018, 1 of old stuff, but 7 of new material, and I'm enormously proud of it. Turned out exactly right. This is called Fawn. This is one I have not read. Most of the later material I've done readings at some point or another, but this one, no one's heard. This is called Fawn. Here we go. 2 brothers named Canary were said to have stolen from the community chest. They didn't have the decency to steal from the wealthy, take what they need, and give away the rest. But the law couldn't be trusted, and thus was never called. So the Canaries were chastised as they were marched to the town walls. The locals hoped word would travel down the wire, and that they'd be denied food, lodgings, and water wherever they retired. But quickly enough, the Canaries were forgotten and continued to ride along freely without judgment or punishment. And if they committed any further acts of thievery, it was never noted publicly. Griffith, resplendent in a natty navy suit, steals Jessica's champagne in a wrong-headed attempt to give it back later as a gift, thinking she'll appreciate it more. Jessica, powerful yet delicate in a mellow peppermint pencil dress, rubs the bristle of Griffith's temples into his sweat and wonders how many texts he'll have to hide from her next. Griffith says he can break skin without bleeding. He dyes water blue before he drinks. He memorizes reviews, then skips to the end of the books he reads. Jessica can get arrested and go straight home and spend the rest of her week yelling at strangers on the street and snapping reaction shots of the backs of their heads. Griffith is flummoxed as he's photographed exiting his favorite bar in the early morning, his mother's birthday on his mind and a cigarette behind his ear. Jessica is photographed ironically flashing a peace sign on the beach, her mother's week-long visit thankfully now over. Griffith explains to his extended family the nature of his many public feuds and why they will persist, and bats away a leading question by their lawyer, disregarding being disproven by facts, feeling justified in thinking that the best way to reconcile a discrepancy is to attack. Or, as might have been dreamt in a different way, they made fun of the family name. They insulted the family name. Jessica explains to the management in her company that discounting what could be considered her offensive language, the inherent truth of her statement still stood, though she was struck speechless when asked if she thought only her supporters were aware of her content. According to her informants, a known opponent, unaware she was being recorded, made a remark, the weight of which contradicted her previously stated stance. Her previously stated stance was compromised. Chaz and Atticus grew used to causing consternation in every room they entered. And yes, and predictably became embittered each time their humor was ridiculed, until they found their actual contract ended in an absurd display of defensiveness. Chaz started to suspect Atticus when he discovered his new name, and was wondering, should I have stayed stunted and silent and eternally a supplicant? Fawn's teeth snap on water when her magnetic coiled alertness goes unrewarded. Setsuki states her ideas for posterity. Quote, "The problem that I see is that they assume everyone who agrees with them about one thing agrees with them about everything. The problem that I see is that it's another version of corporate thinking, another way of being right-wing. The problem that I see is that they assume that I will be a standard bearer. The problem that I see is that they think they are only willing to write words in chalk. The problem that I see is that they have to limit me over things I have no control over. The problem that I see is that their personal truth has no dialogue with honesty." Setsuki states ideas she would likely delete, such as, quote, "I'll never be able to stop forcing emotions from myself. I'll never be able to be an eggshell. I'll never be able to be a pierced genital. I'll never be able to convince people." She goes on to say, "I saunter past the bar and the JPEGs of 2003 like it means anything. I step over the bar and resurfaced insisting that sounds like a rhinestone. I ignore the bar and the people whose minds comprise the seventh circle. I shake my head at the bar, hoping to get money from acquaintances for friendship services." Setsuki notes the things that she has overheard. "I try and fail, and cannot help but hate the people who stay past closing and get distracted where there's a webcam on the wall, hoping that no one saw you picking pepper out of your teeth while thinking, oh, it's like modern art. This is being seen somewhere, and I'm the subject in this moment, this ultimate moment. Take a drink. The gaze. Take a drink. It's empowering. I wonder if I know them." And then, obviously, of course, it only could end with, old movies to me are like Dream a Little Dream. I wouldn't watch anything older because I'd be bored and I wouldn't know what they were talking about. Dun 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 dun. Mm. Yes. Yes, truly. I have a friend who is has substance abuse problems. Wonderful person. And a couple of years ago, here on Facebook, they also happen to be vegan. They're vegan and a heroin addict, and they happened to be wondering about the heroin around the area where they live, and noted that it was cut with lactose. And they asked if anyone was aware of where they could get cruelty-free heroin. And I wrote back and I said to my friend, between the poppy fields to your spoon, there's probably been some measure of cruelty involved. So, with that in mind, this is called cruelty-free heroin. When the guardian goes mad, the sun rains against their eardrums, indistinguishable from Morse code tapping on a copper plate. Yes, when the guardian has gone mad, they're found singing love songs to tanks, draping staircases in flags, breaking car windows to decorate their face with the glass. When the guardian goes mad, they're captured, pushing a pickaxe into an LED screen and detained for threatening to throw snakes at gas station attendants. When the Guardian goes mad, people suddenly remember to turn on AM radio and patiently follow guidelines before filing a full report. Though there are always doubters and passersby who start conspiracies, the usual being that this was a planned distraction. If the Guardian goes mad, they'll arrive at every awards ceremony with a mirror in hand and a ribbon under their chin and make demands to review the voting process when they don't win. If the Guardian goes mad, they'll rue the day they lost control of their relationships, spending weeks hiring staff to bury paperwork they'll insist doesn't exist. If the Guardian goes mad, all their meals shall consist of orange peels pulled from chain link fences and burned coffee flavored with molded peach preserves. Though there are always doubters ready to offer an opinion of unverifiable proof, summarizing the death and maps are the only real measures of impact. Can you imagine being that insane? If the Guardian cracks up, they'll spend bleak days envisioning trees committing suicide, grandmothers doing crystal meth for the first time, and gnats smeared into toothpaste. If the Guardian cracks up, 7 strangers stuck in a bank will claw at each other and seek cold air in the vault and wait for their families and firemen to arrive and dig them out. If the Guardian cracks up, pirates will walk their own planks and devour themselves once they hit water, thrashing back at their gnashing teeth, running the seas red until hunter and prey are one. Ignorance, arrogance. The pest control man said unto me, when I was in Japan, I bought cherry bread in a can. I opened it with a knife and slid off the wrapper. The air bubbles stayed floating in my mouth, and I rolled around until I returned back to the west. Tolerance. The pest control man said unto me, sometimes my apartment building turns into a vending machine, and I get deposited into the evening to provide goods and services for lucky couples with good taste and a few wandering dollars to rub together. Let's see if I can get the cat up here. You guys want to see the cat? We'll see what I can do. She wants to jump up, but she's scared. No. Okay, she's not going to do it. She wants to be petted, but, away from the camera. Shall we do another? I think we should. I wonder how this is going over out there. Who knows? This is also from Citizenship. This is Dancing with the Skeleton Key. It's very beautiful, I think. You might not think so, but... Excuse me. Lil really wants to jump up, but she's not really in the position to. I want to get her in the mix, though, because I think that would be fun. Okay, honey. Come here, you. All right. Enough shenanigans. I'm dancing with a skeleton key pinned under my belt, the night after I'd had two simultaneous dreams in ocular split screen, one where a white-tailed fawn galloped to the front door and another where my brother couldn't sleep. I'm dancing with a skeleton key tied on a twine cord around my neck, remembering when my sister was locked in a minivan and stranded in a parking lot outside of Austin. She kissed the windows and ate the tape in the cassette deck. I'm dancing with a skeleton key in my unopened mouth, tucked behind my wisdom teeth and obscured by my tongue. I have memories that my sister still won't believe, and I miss the 20th century. It could have been so much better. I'm dancing with a skeleton key, scotch taped to my arm. When I was in school, the vice principal gave himself a heart condition trying to figure out who had stolen from the convenience store, and then boasted about it on a blackboard. I'm dancing with a skeleton key in the grotto of a dilapidated Catholic church where the priest once confessed to me that after each funeral he performed, the only way he could raise his spirits was by making uneasy music with the organist. I'm dancing with a skeleton key concealed in an alley while bells chime at midnight near the railroad and kids with no curfew dodge between dashing headlights on their way to play hide and seek in the park. I'm dancing with a skeleton key laid on the floor of a garage while my brother draws out diagrams on poster boards, connecting lines from consequences of thought to isolated islands of thinking divided by unintended regression of actions. I'm dancing with the skeleton key while I'm safe at home, looking at sealed bags of clothes that I stopped wearing years ago while I was running for mayor on an unconfirmed platform of leaking information about the governor. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in an adjacent office because the evidence my brother uncovered just got delivered to the lawyer, and he predicts it will make the judge jump and remove any condemnation from his goddamned mouth. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in a strip mall that used to be a swimming pool, and before that a man-made hill that covered demilitarized waste trucked over from a Floridian base, and it will still take 100,000 years before any of it reaches its half-life. I'm dancing with a skeleton key, clasped tightly in my hand as I watch my sister in the mirror speak sentences with one word and plant orchids next to power lines in the backyard. Then she dots the driveway with empty jars to accurately measure the rainfall. I'm dancing with a skeleton key in my pocket, moving loosely with me. My brother used to cry bitterly at our parents every time he got a ticket, refuting each offense, denying he did any of it. I'm dancing with the skeleton key sliding uncomfortably in my shoe, but the nuisance helps give me the presence of mind to always hold up what I was taught, that when the rent is due, it's better to be full and well slept than hand over a blank check. I'm dancing with the skeleton key pressed into a book, watching Leaves in the Wind at a novelist at a press conference performing fake sign language, hoping it will get him the attention he wants for trying to revive the printed word. That was not fucking great. But it looks like the one person that was watching is now gone. So, it all works, right? That's okay. This is called Blue Soaked Scepter. The kink in my neck that runs to my kidneys, distracting me from movies I've long memorized and repeating quotations I've lived inside of, and I've no desire to rewrite history that doesn't concern me. When what I didn't know already felt familiar, when I saw the inscription on my commemorative plaque had been worn back to smooth silver, when I slipped behind the mist, changed clothes, washed my hands, and shaved, with no light and with no intention of anyone seeing my face for a while, I was willingly walked through a coal-stained city lot and deposited in the back seat of an already running windowless army green car, which was then locked from the outside. Mary, had I abandoned my practice, committed an indirect affront in my brief absence? My name is Keith. The beggar at my door raised his arm but soft while I listened to his parables that had no center. My name is Luke. With an auspicious mistress behind me, I looked at a baby looking out a window at fluttering street signs. My name is Julia. My temper was gentle as I read a sermon called, "Are You Here to Celebrate the Death of Death?" My name is Giles. I wish that I'd been obscured when my ears were bitten with endearment while I was plainly ignored. My name is Grace. I was observed by 3 people whose accounts proved suggestible and fractured. My name is Abigail. I faced hard construction when I, in truth, spoke forcefully about my forged fingerprints. My name is Morgan. I spent twilight emptied, save for sketching a red tunic on bent paper. My name is Brooke. I was registered in the hotel under an assumed name and made lists of families I pitied. My name is Gabriel. I singed my hair and clothes trying to be recalled. The sky had been moonless for 29 nights. Why couldn't I stay? I was bothered by the way the streetlights hit the trees and reflected off the leaves. I took a knife and short length of rope. 6 hours later, I'm waiting for you to arrive, carrying a scepter and wearing a breastplate with frayed shoulder blades and exhausted eyes. I'm waiting for you to arrive, sitting cross-legged on the sodden deck with wayward souls who were barely seen. I leapt off the ledge and was soon out of haunt as I climbed the concave shores, wondering if I should forage, catch a gudgeon, or eat unbruised fruit that had fallen. The gravelly, guttered soil gave way to encroaching forest dense with rows of weighted, wet purple limbs that succumbed to gravity and wind. Then abruptly I was in the center of a champaign, and the only objects I found were short rows of tree stumps and stones, each carved with the query, "What made you look here?" I jaunced away into the odd even, and was again pursued by the thicket's reach. The thorns licked my calves, the anthills shone like pebbled glass. I brushed past a frog with a violet tongue and discolored teeth, who gulped for relief while his body remained static like a splayed thread in aspic. I made my way into the antres and found myself prating, "Prithee, pray tell what you remember of working your hands into the mud, feeling it curl under your fingernails. It feels like a relic reunited with its original setting after having been figured lost or only seen in a dream." But times I glanced around for the traveling lamp while standing beside the curvature, hearing myself call to datelessly abandon vizards and leasing and be faithfully young-eyed. I returned once more to the champaign and sat among the stones in silence. I received no visions or visitations, no inspiration to invent an incantation, and in this vacuum of communication I only experienced the sense, or perchance suggestion, of the imposing press of eras and atmosphere. And now I noticed this restless weather, shy beams of sunlight moving sideways through the strings of remaining rain. I spend my time in theaters, and when I get home at night, the plasma in my blood always pounds too fast, and the broken overhead lights can predict what's going to happen tomorrow. Yes, the night shows your real feelings. The streets are chipped and cornered. There's a punk rock kid with black-lit spiked hair and a lonely mechanic who tries to hug his customers. Or something like that. The cops always fly past, oblivious to it all. We happened to hook up by chance. She was snake dancing through some guy's shirt. Our conversation had something to do with the Renaissance, but to be honest, I can hardly remember, so we went back to her place. Her skin turned the color of a Dalmatian, and she laughed at me when I started talking too much. There were whistling monks in the corner wearing crowns of jewels, and I tried to play the straight man amongst all the cacophony. She took my hand and told me it was all right, And when we got on board the satellite, she sang folk songs all the way to Mars. She took my hand and promised me it was all right, and when we got on board the satellite, she sang folk songs all the way to Mars. That's enough for that one. How y'all doing out there, huh? Having fun? Is anybody still watching this? Doesn't look like it. That's okay. I don't want to read that. I'm flipping through, my past glories here. Just trying to think of oh, this is an interesting one. This is, yeah, I've never done this one. This is I did a book a few years ago called Salt or Light. It was important for me to get it done at the time. Called Tasteless, Colorless. Viscous liquid slowly spread across the floor, covered with a shadow. Morella stands with forced, coughed laughter, a few phrases hoping her host will believe this is a natural interaction. She sees two children in the kitchen sitting with folded hands, and strangers' faces staring through the window at them. The host had been holding a one-sided conversation about if atoms turn to ice or go dry when they stop vibrating, and then began conjecturing about people he'd left behind, and informally ended with the enigmatic, "I want to drain your glass eye." Into the ocean, Morella stands naked before the mirror, remembering her husband's tattoo, thinking she should not succumb to low desires. She remains unsure about the connection between newborn and mother, nervous that the baby doesn't reach out for love but out of instinct for its own interests. When she was pregnant, she was never told she had a glow. She figured her purity would show in her unmarked face of snow, but that was years ago. Morella knows the ghosts are laughing at her. When she talks to her boss, when she steps in the shower, Morella knows the ghosts keep her depraved, when they take off her clothes and when they change her name. But the reality is far more plain. The only one watching her is a raw nerve who pays attention after he's contemplated his redactions and thinks that he's the last rational man in any room. It stands in the stairwell. It asks me to display concern. It analyzes my impulses. It blends it back into paintings. It asks me what I'd do if I never get caught. It asks me if I would pay for the chance. It writes down my final thoughts at night. It convinces me to miss the flight. It makes it seem impossible to be love intoxicated when you abstain from all vice. Waking from recurring dreams to discover none of the 4 previous visitations ever happened. Trying and failing to remember the details and why they seemed so real. Writing prayers of protection and taping them to the walls. Swearing at myself for not having read what I should. The host appears wearing spotless black cashmere, fingernails neatly manicured, 2 inches long. The host fills the sink with boiling hot water which he watches turn gray when he pokes in a finger. I'm afraid of spring and what it means. It's safe to stay enclosed in winter, remaining quiet with migraines, willing away regression, casting off possessions. I need evidence that this will work, a sign for the effort. Do you think you are God's camera? I need evidence that this will work, a sign of what this is worth. Do you think you are God's camera? I don't need to create another myth. I don't need to be dependent. Do you think you are God's camera? It's from the same book. This is called Allison, Where the Blue Seas and Icebergs Are. She's ice, and this, I think this might be the last one. She's ice cream, and there she's down the hall. She uses words like everything and all. I can hear her, but I can't make out her features. I know she spends her weekends in a cement cinema making notes. The girl next to her tries to see what she wrote. Allison wonders why the guy in the elevator keeps glancing at her and why the weather keeps jumping between rain and sun every 30 minutes. She keeps saying, "Quit asking me questions, I'm innocent," as people assume she's joking. Allison wonders, what are the windows thinking on a day where there's a white line down the center of the sky? Her mind cuts back to the guy in the elevator with a quick, look at me, look at you, we're equals. Allison wonders if she can keep hiding while knowing they're following me. Allison writes, what started as hopes are now observations, mostly about nature and about when being young stops being fascinated once it's done. Allison looks at her bowl of spinach, and her eyes focus down on the details of one leaf, and she quietly speaks. An atheist sees this and can only think of the mud it grows from. Allison writes, we extend grace out of our own sense of grace, and smiles because she's not sure if that's her own or something she's half remembering from 2 or 3 incarnations ago. Allison considers why her back and hands are so slippery when she's invisible, and then tells her sister, my tongue is a graffiti sponge. I wonder if I'll have to make love in front of a judge. Allison considers that she's a character who looks and acts like her, then draws a bath with the lights off. Allison invites her guests to walk barefoot while cherries and red confetti float out of her phone. Allison considers emptying cash registers if the security cameras lose power, but what she mostly wants are completely natural segues with no artificial blends. Make thoughts your aim or nerve blaming when all you meet at your beginnings, but make allowances for their worn-out tools and make dreams a trap for fools after they are gone. We're going to check on something for a moment. Nope. We'll do this one. And then maybe we'll get out of here soon. These are from 1993. 1:29 a.m. on the headphones, Sonic Youth on the 1:29 a.m. Sonic Youth on the headphones, snow on the TV screen. I love all, fuck all, I love you, fuck you, I love you, fuck me. Give in to me, give in, crawl down the wall of salvation, lose my mind, do it for me, I'm lazy, lose my mind, gallop in, ride me, ride my thoughts. Through the center of the branch to the worm at the root, the paper dust was made for you, you being me. Degrees falling make exhaust more impressive than it seems. Bark peeled down the tree, paintings dripping from their frame, teeth, a white yogurt on Ash Wednesday. Call this stranger because the wheel is waiting for you. There's lice in the cabinet chewing through to the roof. The dog barks at 6:10 a.m. Your shrieking wakes up 4. Your persuasion has no outlet. Your tables and chairs are forgotten. The roof is getting weaker. At the office, the copier is out of toner until Thursday. Stay with me. Stay with me. Finger paintings line the attic, nonsensical shapes with misspelled words. Local men are firing blanks while they leave for work. Are they still speaking English? They breathe very loud. Glaciers are roaring, the flash pots in your mind. No point is loaded, body hair grown. You've become convinced everyone wants you to win. I spent the day in a monotone mood watching commercials with Anita Bryant, with 4 crew-cut men in 1965, in a cola-fueled Christian clothes-on Hitler Youth orgy of the future, a future where only animals are nutritious and crabgrass causes cancer. Underneath it it is plain. Underneath it is reasonably explained. Underneath it is a yes and a no. Underneath it is wave and beat. Graceful heaven falling, encapsulating, caressing beauty, swimming in a small cherubic pool, heightening and deadening, red waves surging in elegance, crest of peaceful thoughts floating over the mind, universal pulse. And we'll do one more. I just have to find it. I have released so many books. I don't always know what book is in what. Actually, we're going to do 2 more. We will wrap this up. For anyone who has hung in there, God bless you. This is called Honeybee 12345. Like a coral pink butterfly heading to me, you're looking through your jeweled eyes, I'm waiting for your surprise. A birthday card, an aquarium hung on the wall, a memory in a vein swimming around, arriving too late to hear a favorite song. Flying, flying like a honeybee that counts the flap of its wings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keeping everything else alive. Bubbles on the honeycomb coming together in unusually warm weather. Honeybee 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keeping everything else alive. And we wind up with the flashing light on the stove is the first thing I see after I put on my glasses, and then I feel how much I miss you in the morning. I eat breakfast and brush my teeth, wishing you didn't have to leave for work before me. Little things you say and do go around in my head while I'm pretending to pay attention to what a coworker is saying when I'm getting coffee, and I'm fully aware of just how much I miss you in the morning. But it's only a few more hours until we get to be together every evening and be nearer each day. I think that's as good as ending as any. Goodbye.